On this episode of Would Jamie Eat It, I am hopped up on caffeine. Alright, welcome back to episode 14 of Would Jamie Eat It? This is Barkley Poole, this is Don Cherry, and I'm Jamie Rothermake. And Bark, we're building off of last week's Would Jamie Eat It, correct?
We are definitely building on that, but can you tell us what you were doing in the intro?
Frank the Tank? I love it.
Frank the Tank. Always fun here at Would Jamie Eat It. Yes, we are talking about caffeine. Mm-hmm. In the last episode, we dedicated it to coffee, but we purposely held out on talking a little bit about, or more about caffeine, because we wanted to do this part 2 and connected segment where we focused just on caffeine.
Correct.
So we know it very well as being a very prevalent part of coffee, but in your consultations and your meal plans that you put together, what are some of the other main sources of caffeine that you see from people that come in and talk to you?
I mean, obviously, coffee is the mainstay shuttle for caffeine, or where caffeine, most of our caffeine comes from.
Right.
But also, in other terms, you have chocolate that offers caffeine. Not a huge amount. You have soda, or in your country,
Pop.
weight loss supplements, pre-workout drinks, energy drinks can have huge amounts of caffeine. And in today's society, I mean, we know that. I think most people are aware that the energy that you're getting is coming from caffeine.
Right, right. So, that being said, what are some of the goods, what are some of the bads, and then we'll get to the verdict, which is a little more challenging in this episode, but just tell us about the goods and the bads of caffeine in general.
So there are some positives in that caffeine may help reduce the risk of things like Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, may protect against gallstones, and even type 2 diabetes. It also may protect against certain cancers as well.
Those are some big benefits.
Yeah, those are huge. Especially talking about Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, if that's within your family.
Sure.
It can also, on a, I guess, more superficial level, it can boost memory and concentration as well.
Okay.
Now, there are some negative side effects to caffeine in that it is a central nervous system stimulant, and it can exaggerate our stress response. So what that means is it will stimulate our adrenal glands to produce more adrenaline and cortisol. Okay. Which obviously cortisol has been getting a bad rap, and maybe we'll talk about that at a later time, but not today. Also, we have a compound in our bodies called adenosine that builds up as the day goes, and by the end of the day, it should have been built up enough that it signals our bodies and our minds to become tired.
Okay.
But caffeine, very simply, can block those adenosine receptors and not really let us feel how tired our body and mind is.
So that would seem to me, though, that it's going to come with an eventual crash at some point. I mean, it's got to, right?
I mean, honestly, speaking on personal terms, no, I mean, I don't feel that crash. Other people do, and that's where caffeine metabolism really differs, and you really have to figure out how it affects you personally. It can last in your system 5 hours or 8 hours, or it can stay in your system for even longer than that.
Okay.
So, and how your body reacts as far as that crash goes, it's very individual.
Okay. So the verdict here, like I said earlier, might be a little challenging because I think ultimately it's going to depend on what source that caffeine, or what shuttle, the term that you like to use, that caffeine is coming from. But let's try and look at it, like, take it away, look at it just as a whole as just caffeine. Maybe we just look at it as a caffeine supplement in itself. What's the verdict? Is it something that you would take? Or
it does have some good benefits, but it's not something I would necessarily add just as a supplement, add in my water or whatever. So the only reason I'm ingesting caffeine is because it's coming in the coffee I drink.
Okay.
And I think going back to what we were talking about, how long it lasts in your system, that's kind of my challenge to everybody today, is to give your bodies a caffeine curfew. Meaning that if I drink from the coffee 200 milligrams of caffeine, it's going to take a half-life of 8 hours before that 200 milligrams becomes 100 milligrams and so on and so forth. So just so you can sleep better, give it that curfew and cut it off at a certain point.
Okay, makes sense. There you have it. There's the verdict, episode 14 on caffeine. Thank you everybody for watching. You know where to reach us, facebook.com/would-Jaime-eat-it. Send us your submissions and maybe you'll make it on a future episode of Would Jaime Eat It. In the meantime, hit that little share button down below. Share the Would Jaime Eat It knowledge with all your friends and family. Thanks everybody for watching. See you next time.